Hello everyone and welcome to Old World. We are live once again in the arena in the 2025 tournament match. Tournament. That's the way to say that. And we have Alcaras and Ninjaa once more. Very likely should undoubtedly be the final session. For those of you who have not caught up, the situation as it stands now is, let's make sure I get my chat log. Oh yeah, that's gonna be a little bit of an echo. Hold on. There we go. All right, so yes, the state in play. If I recall correctly, Ninjaa wins in approximately 12 to 13 turns. His objective now is to clear this site and settle this site. He has the calligraphy law, which supercharges your culture gain a massive amount. Very underrated tech path, but again, as I spoke at length in the previous session, difficult to find the moment to leverage, but Ninjaa certainly gave himself the board state with which to leverage it. A little bit slow on the adopt, unfortunately. I think around the time he secured this island, he definitely should have had the mindset of going straight for vaulting, settling this, and ultimately, as we see here, he did. However, I think there was probably about a 15-20 turn delay on that. On the flip side, we have Alcaras, who has an incredibly powerful economy, pretty solid opinion base to work with. Let's see how we're doing on that front. Yeah, pretty solid opinion base to work with, certainly way better than our Persian friends, although it does look like the hunters have finally decided to join in on the action. Let me know, by the way, how I sound, and let me know if we see any, if we hear any like tapping, by the way, because yesterday in the stream I noticed there was a bit of I rewatched to check some sound quality. I noticed there was a little bit of tapping. Make sure I let my friends know on Discord. We are live. Can I actually comment on the event thing? Okay. Yeah. So anyway, welcome if you're watching after the fact on YouTube as well. And yeah, thanks, Ignat. Why is that? Oh, because I'm not playing. There we go. There we go. Live chat. There we go. All right. Let me know if you hear any tapping throughout the video, and I'll try to do my best to make that go away. I think my mic was picking up. My mic is now on a stand on my computer desk, and I think it was picking up my tapping on the mouse or maybe typing on the keyboard, things like that. So if we hear some annoying clicky clacks, that's probably what it is, and I'll do my best to try and rectify that, so keep me posted on that. 3 turns for Latin Sail for the Persians. And yeah, man, I mean, we're in the finale now. This could be as quick as 40 minutes in terms of a session time, or it could be, depending on how long they take their turns or what kind of action that we see, this could go the full length of about 2 or 3 hours. It really depends here. Alcaras has a strong build-up here. Still relatively low-class units. He does have his ballistas and his onagers, and siege can certainly carry the day quite handily on the battlefield. However, we're still looking at some tribal units. We're still looking at some spears. We have slingers laying around, things like that. So for turn 91, not necessarily the strongest of late-game armies. He does have his elephants. He's bringing in some biremes now. So this is what's interesting. I'm going to be a little cheeky here. Ninjaa, I consider Ninjaa a friend. Certainly an old world friend. We've played a handful of games privately over the years. And it's always interesting to talk shop with him about some games or like answer questions for him. And Alcaras and I are definitely friends. He's been kind enough to help me join in on supporting the tournament and organizing the tournament, and he's the person who got me into multiplayer in the first place. So I'm going to be a little cheeky here with this next bit of commentary, because my hot take on this match right now is both of these players deserve to lose. We have a very unique situation where whoever loses this match kind of deserves it. And I'm going to explain why. And we're going to start off with Ninjaa. So Ninjaa obviously is going to win in about 12 or 13 turns, right? He has a really strong position, good defense, great map presence, obviously. But the issue that he faced here was... he secured Gabay and then kind of sat on the southern side for a while and didn't really do much with his empire. I feel like he kind of lost track of what, like maybe like a mid-game game plan, right? He has a massive deficit that's kind of squandering his entire economy. And so he kind of just, he got a really, really dominant position and then idled for quite a while, right? And so why is that an issue? Is because, granted, Ninjaa may win in 12 or 13 turns. If Alcaras frankly, gets off of his ass and decides to come in and just do something as simple as take Solsi, that's going to push Ninjaa a little slightly further away from actually winning. If taking Solsi turns into taking whichever city this becomes, or taking Gabay, right? I feel like if Alcaraz is able to get himself in a position to take as little as 3 cities from Ninjaa, the forward momentum is going to carry Alcaraz into winning the game. And the reason why I think that is because let's think about our opinion. Let's thinking about the economy, right? Even Ninjaa is still, where are we at? Both players are similar now. So let's say they go into about 4 or 5 rounds of intense fighting, right? Alcaraz can trade units, because if we hop on to Alcaraz right now, look at his economy. He has stockpiles, and he has large swaths of income coming every return. So even if they trade kills, and it's just a bloodbath, Ninjaa killing 12 of Alcaraz units, and Alcaraz has responded by only killing 8, right? So that's net advantage to Ninjaa. You have to think about the ability to replenish those arms. So Alcaraz could even wage a war with Ninjaa right now and lose consistently. But as long as he's, like if he loses 12 units and kills 8, loses 10 units and then kills 6, loses 8 units and then kills 7, right? Eventually, that's still, short of a full wipe for Alcaraz, that's going to, the scales will gradually tip in Alcaraz's favor, because Ninjaa does not have the economy, or frankly, even the infrastructure at this point, to replenish his forces in a pitched battle. So, why does Ninjaa deserve to lose? Because if Alcaraz actually decides to get off his ass and burst out of this corner at any point in the next 10 turns, he could likely cascade in a way where he takes 1 city, which turns into 2 cities, which turns into a 3rd city, and then Ninjaa's going to lose. And Ninjaa gave Alcaraz 30 turns worth of prep time by basically getting Gabay and not... it's easy to miss things, by the way. Just in complete fairness, it's easy to miss these things. But he got Gabay on turn 61, right? The same turn he basically got monasticism. And I went over this last time, but we're looking at things like composite bow. We're looking at things like, where is it? Doctrine, citizenship, scholarship, right? All of these things were taken before vaulting. And these aren't bad technologies by any stretch of the means. Getting scholarship, getting your science online, great call, Doctrine, a very powerful ability. But I think with the map presence that he had back on turn 60 and the inability for Alcaraz to really bust out, gives Ninjaa the opportunity to set up that timer much faster, much quicker, such that if he had vaulting on something like turn 68, turn 70, rather than turn, 80? 85, right? He could have had vaulting on turn 70 rather than 85. Well, then maybe this game would already be over, right? So that's the Ninjaa. Wait, what? Alcaraz. Chat's telling me that Alcaraz just adopted guilds, so it looks like this is perfect timing. It looks like Alcaraz is not going to get off his ass anytime soon. So why did Alcaraz deserve to lose? If he loses, because same thing, start of the last session, we had Gabay, we had a floundering Ninjaa who didn't quite know where to go, right? He got a very dominant position, and he didn't pull the trigger on that vaulting gambit. He didn't pull the trigger on that timer on his opponent. But so what could and I went about this extensively in the last video. So for those of you who watched it, I'm not going to go over it again. But basically, real quick sum up. At the beginning, as early as the beginning of last session, Alcaras had the ability to ortho rush. What that means, use the orthodoxy law over here. Spend orders, right? Oh my god. Oh my god. We're building elder officers. Why are we rushing? Oh my god. All right, I'm going to come to that. Well, no, I mean, this is all part of it, right? Alcaras is waiting. But realistically, with the timer that we have for Ninja, we're talking about 12 or 13 turns, right? Alcaras literally needs to attack in the next 4 or 5 turns max. Whatever the game time is, he has about half that time left. Yeah, Solver's informing us that Alcaraz' plan is to go Elder Officers, Elites, and Alpha Strike. This is the misplay. This is the thing where prep gets you. Because look, we're building an Elder Officer right now, which apparently we rushed, by the way. We could literally just get more units. Because again, with the economy, as I outlined already, even if you run even in kills, even if you run a deficit on kills, granted, Alcaraz doesn't necessarily know this, right? He doesn't have the perfect information, but he's been able to see. These are rebels. Alcaraz has been able to see that the political situation for Ninja has kind of been in shambles, right? And it hasn't changed. It's been this way for 30 turns. There was a rebel that popped up here. There has been rebels that pop up down here. So and Alcaraz is the kind of person who's going to check tooltips. He's been seeing upset families, angry families for 20, 30 turns. So this is why, if Alcaraz loses, well, then he very much deserves his loss as well, because he had an opportunity about 30 turns ago, 40 turns ago, to ortho rush a bunch of biremes into the ocean. Like, literally, in 2 or 3 turns, he could have had 12 ships to Ninja's 5 or 6. All of Ninja's ships would have been pissed off due to opinion, so Alcaraz could have just swiped the sea from Ninja's hands, stranding his army in a couple of key locations, and then advanced at his leisure, securing Sulci, retaking Gabai, probably taking Ectabana, right? And then what does that give Alcaraz? That gives Alcaraz, fast forward now to, turn 92, more time. Ninja's he's no longer staring down the barrel of an inevitable point win, because even if Ninja did this, he'd be way far. He'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points behind where he is at now, and Alcaraz would have better superiority in the ocean. Probably with his boats, he could have contested this, right? So it's kind of funny. Because if Alcaraz pulls off this an amazing attack here and takes these cities from Ninja and denies Ninja that win and goes on to, wow, look at that, right? Oh, these are all cataphracts. No way. Yeah. Alcaraz squandered his opportunity. So, but again, I want to root for him. If he does pull it off, even taking Sulci will be just enough to buy him a few more turns. And then he can cascade that into something else. But I mean, this is a choke point and a half that you need to get around. And then we know our friend in Persia is getting, where are we at here? Is getting Dromans. 2 turns, and all of these ships are going to upgrade to Dromans. We're still building biremes. Alcaraz does not have triremes yet. So there was a bireme on bireme moment in this game where the economy, the orders, the opinion, and the ability to rush through both orthodoxy and civics were on Alcaraz' side back in around turn 60 or 70, right? And Alcaraz could have broken out. Similarly, right around the same threshold, at around turn 60 or 70, was the moment where Ninja needed to hard pivot into vaulting. Now, he did find his legs and secured vaulting, so the clock is against Alcaraz. And I suspect if I were to guess who were to win at this stage, I think it will likely be Ninja, especially because of the plan we're on. So Alcaraz here. I'm going to hop back over to Alcaraz. We got guilds. And even honestly, even this I think is a mistake. It's turn 91 jurisprudence, right? Elites could have made sense. Stockpile a turn's worth of orders and just give an alpha strike from hell. But honestly, with our economy, I think after how much science with this? This is 1,000 science. I don't know. I'm thinking maybe somewhere along the way here we did turn 80. We definitely needed we probably need ballistas, but maybe trying to spring for martial code instead of this would have been smarter. I don't know that we would have been there in time. That's a bit of a hike. But again, we're thinking about rush economy. We're thinking about sustainability. We're thinking about going blow for blow with Ninja, trading kills, killing as much as we can, and shrugging off whatever dies on our end. So I cannot believe this. I don't know how many times I need to tell people to stop building elder officers on turn 90. The game is over. The game is over. It's like we're building an elder scribe. Oh my god! And I get it. This is why I lose games. I play a 70 or 80 turn game, and next thing I know, at turn 105, and I'm screwed because I didn't plan for the longer game. So it's definitely tricky to juggle that balance of knowing how, when is it time to go, and when is it the end game for real, or when is it like it's turn 92. For all Alcaras knows, maybe this game has another 20 turns left. In fairness, though, he should be able to do exactly what we're doing, right? And mouse over this tooltip, then Alcaraz can go for cities. No, not this one. With points, right? Points. Here we go. Alcaraz can see 7 weak cities. So that's info 1. And then Alcaraz can also look at laws, and he can see calligraphy, which means mathematically, every single one of those 7 cities are going to be another point in at least 10 turns. At this stage, very likely less. So Alcaraz knows, effectively speaking, Ninja is actually at 58 points. And then he has to surmise we have the tooltip. Some of these developing cities are going to bump over to strong in that same time frame, at least 1 or 2. So Alcaraz can surmise that Ninja literally is sitting on 60 points right now. Not 52, 60. Because inevitably, in the next 10 turns, he will be at 60 turns. And there's nothing Alcaraz can do about it short of taking territory, right? So that's what's getting me about the whole, building for the long, like there's no more long game left to build for. This is it. This is your time. Get whatever you can, as many orders as you can, as many units as you can, and the smallest amount of time that you can, and just throw them at your opponent and pray, right? Take one city and just move on to the next. We're getting 1 turn settler out there. So it'll be 10 turns, by the way. The victory is 10 turns from the moment that this settler settles, by the way, mathematically. Pretty sure that's it. Pretty sure nothing can get in the way of that, short of Alcaraz. And that's the thing that sucks, is that he's got choke points, He has very shitty terrain he needs to bust out of. He is boxed in, which is what makes the mid game for Alcaraz such a shame, is because he had a window. He had I really do truly believe that Alcaraz had a clear window to break out of his situation and reclaim Salty, take goodbye, likely Ectobana, and then probably contest Ninja away from be able to expand out this far. Because again, Alcaraz would have controlled the ocean. If I hop on over to Ninja once more, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Ninja still doesn't even have orthodoxy. He does not have volunteers. He does not have martial code. So, and his economy, well, I mean, I guess he has really good civics, right? So the rush economy would have been on Alcaraz's side. Ninja was hard building 7, 8, 10 turn biremes back on turns 60 and 70, whereas Alcaraz could have just literally been giving himself a bireme every single turn indefinitely for like the next 10 turns. He could have flooded the ocean with ships. So it's a real shame because, Alcaraz has done very well by being a cautious player. I think caution wins out against in some situations, aggressive players like myself and Ninja, because we can kind of hamstring ourselves by pouring so much into early aggression and then basically being hit up against a wall such as this, right? And then turns out our opponent has amazing science while our science is shitty. But Ninja never struggles with science. Ninja has been matching his opponent's science all game. In fact, it is just now at this stage on turn 93 where Alcaras is about to take a lead in total science generated for the entire game. You have to give Ninja props for how impressive that is. He managed a rapid expansion playstyle. There were points where he was just building nothing but things like spearmen and biremes. He was going very military heavy in his build queues, and yet he has maintained pace with a turtled, heavy greed, eco-efficient player for the entire game. And it's a bummer because I don't think this is a testament to the fact that, 21 cities will undoubtedly beat 9 cities. I don't want that to be the takeaway of this match, because I truly, truly believe Alcaraz had a window in the mid-game to overtake Ninja and push him back. His economy was better, his politics was better, he had rush capability. There were about 6 or 7 ships of Persia's in the ocean, and Alcaraz could have generated 12 ships inside of 4 turns. And there would have been nothing Ninja could have done about it. So Alcaraz would have twice the navy of Ninja in the blink of an eye. So it's a bummer. So if nothing else, even if Alcaraz does succumb to Ninja here, take heart for the turtle greed eco strategy. It can work. Of course, there are risks associated with it, and skilled opponents can punish it. But I think Alcaraz has played a strong game here. He's just both players to an extent. I mean, Ninja has his eye on the ball now, but both players kind of lost their eye on the ball in the mid game. Right around turn 60 or 70, both players kind of just missed a real opportunity to close out the game. And unfortunately for Alcaraz, Ninja picked up on his win condition faster than Alcaraz picked up on his. And that's basically what you're going to see here. Right around turn 80 or so, even up until turn 80, Alcaraz still had opportunities to try and bust out of his position. But now Ninja realized his win condition. He went for his win condition. Meanwhile, Alcaraz is just continuing to build up. He's continuing to stick to a master plan. And we see the first of the Dromans in the ocean for Ninja. It's a wonder. Oh, he's chopping. He's I was going to say, it's a wonder he can even afford the damn things, but he's going to chop every forest in sight. I would not yet. We have workers up here now. We're just going to go on chopping sprees to afford our Dromans. It makes sense. Yep, here we go. Chopping spree. Going to the chop market, buying some chop stuff. I don't know. I'm just saying stuff at this point. But, yeah, no. Chopping spree and Droman. Droman over here. Here we go. Move in. All the way. Yeah, we're doing the biremes into Droming. We're saving those triremes for now. You can always leapfrog upgrades from the lowest unit. So you can do a slinger into a longbowman. You don't have to do a archer first. So it always makes sense if you have archers and slingers lying around. Upgrade your slingers first. And he's doing the same thing here with the ships at this moment. He does have triremes in the ocean. And now he's upgrading into Dromans. And I think that's pretty much good night nurse for Alcaraz. His only option now is Sulci. He will not be able to take the ocean. And Sulci is just basically, he has a snake's path here. He has a 2-tile path into Sulci and then a 1-tile path into Hormizard. So, I mean, this is looking bleaker and bleaker by the year for Alcaraz. Oh, and we have a nice, fun Latin Sail Discovered event. Always fun to see this. Tons of training. In this situation, I would actually take the training. We're capped at civics. Maybe Family Opinion, actually. Family Opinion could also be well for us. We've had some issues with that all game. Now the Arsacids are the Riders are looking good for us. So we're making progress. Are we converting? No, we're still rallying troops. This is a weird. He's been rallying troops all game long. This is wild to me. It's still a really good rate. You know, it's 460 training for 100 civics. That's not bad at all. I don't hate it. I just find it interesting that he's not converting families. Although he does have a zealot who's the head of his faith now who can use to convert instead. But if he doubles up on conversions, he'd be able to convert this family to Zoro anytime soon. So now, again, that political window that we were talking about, that's fading away. Hunters especially is your main defensive family, and they are friendly now. They were upset, or maybe even angry, 30 turns ago. So that's what we're talking about when we think about windows opening and closing and the landscape of the game, the way it can shift like that over time. What else is going on in here? Anything? We can do eloquent, warlike. That's always fun. Oh, man. Let's take a look at what we have. We have, okay, yeah. So this city was settled, and it gives us 9 turns. And I'll run the count here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points inside of 10 turns. And then 11 points right here. So, in fact, I don't even think we need this city. We'll win in 8 turns, not 9 turns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we're at 55 points. Yep, we win. Ninja wins. Persia wins in 8 turns. So, going off of what I said earlier, at minimum, that means at minimum, or sorry, at maximum. I mean at maximum. Alcaras has to attack in 4 turns. Alcaras has to attack in 4 turns, or I just don't think he's going to win. I mean, it's possible. I mean, again, I recently lost a game where I would have won in 2 turns, and then I lost 2 cities. So it's possible. But there was much more open terrain. There was much more sea control for my opponent. Alcaras is so tightly boxed in here that he's going to need every turn he can to deny Sulci. And even if he denies Sulci, I would say that Ninja still is going to win in... No, I guess if he can take Sulci, that will buy him about another 10 turns from what he has now. So he's 8 turns away from losing, and if he takes Sulci, he'll be about 19 turns away from losing. So Sulci is the win condition for Alcaras right here. He needs to take it. He will double the amount of time left he has before he can lose. So he has 8 turns to take Sulci, which gives him then 19 turns to take Hormizd. And then from there on, I think Ninja would have to build... no, because Para and Darband are 18 turns away. Yes, so Alcaras will need to keep going. Alcaras will lose. If he can take Sulci, he will lose in 19 turns, 18 to 19 turns, regardless if he takes Hormizd. So he has 18 to 19 turns to take Hormizd, Katura, and other cities because, again, the ocean is going to be off limits. So he's going to have to defend himself while also advancing. Sulci and then Dromans. Oh, okay. That's also interesting. What do we have? I've been rambling enough that I haven't quite been keeping track. All right, so yeah, no, we need coinage. We need Latin sale. Yeah, that's top priority. That's top priority. We do have it marked, which is nice. Yeah, this is another thing. When we're so boxed in with Ocean, I think there was even a point in this game where Alcaras could have beaten his opponent to cartography and not only just summoned an army, from the depths of the ocean by the grace of Poseidon. He could have done it. The Navy could have been even stronger. All right, so we're on cartography now, or coin. We're on cartography now, which makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, it's looking less more likely. Sorry, I'm engaging with chat. If you're watching after the fact, we have people commenting about. Oh, actually, no, you can. I forget. In YouTube, you can follow along on the chat, which is really, really nice. So if you don't know about that, I think sometimes it takes a day or two. So if you're watching the day after this, you might not have the feature. But if it's a few days later, feel free to show the live chat. See, I think it's a button that says like see what people were saying about this video. You can follow around the chat that I'm interacting with. Yeah, but yeah, no, this is looking very, very dire because these are all 8 strength cataphract archers, which are an incredibly strong unit. Let's find, yeah. So here's a spear, right? Spear out in the open. Cataphract archers are 10 damage. They don't, they don't care. They can't route, but do we have any? Will a ballista out in the open? They'll do 9 damage. An onager out in the open will do 11 damage, and they can route. So they don't take any counter damage. They're hard to hit. There's hills all right here. So when they are on hills, they do get that extra range, right? So this is going to be very difficult to attack into cataphract archers. Cataphract archers typically are restricted to one range, right? So I can hit this guy from here, but I can't hit this guy from this tile. However, because these are hills, you still get that +1 range. So all of these guys on these hills will be able to hit into these tiles and beyond with their extra range. So getting Sulcy, I think, it's entirely possible. Building an Elder Officer, this is absolutely blowing my mind. But if ever Alcaras were going to be booted from this tournament, and I say this with every ounce of love to you, my friend, you are such a wonderful, wonderful person and a great sport. But if ever Alcaras was going to be booted from this from this tournament, I had to imagine it was going to be him greeting himself to death. Not someone rushing him, although that should have worked. Not someone rushing him, not someone outplaying him, not someone breaking into his massive siege wall at the end of the game. No, literally Alcaraz just trying to get himself ready to attack and losing in the meantime. Because that's exactly what's going to happen. He's going to be ready to pull the trigger, and then he's going to have no time left to actually take any territory. Question, are there any fire ship opportunities for Alcaraz? The thing is Alcaraz only has 4 ships. And no, he has a couple of grapples, which is nice. But grapples and fire ship make a fantastic combo. Grapple is nice for this bay situation because you can always grapple somebody in place and then ensure that the onagers will be able to destroy them even if you lose the ship in response, because then the ship won't be able to run out to safety. But yeah, not looking like we have much in the way of fire ship opportunities for Alcaraz, which is unfortunate. Cartography in 1 turn, though, so we'll get triremes, and so this is the other problem. If Alcaraz is thinking, I think that's what Solver said earlier, right? No, he didn't. He didn't mention that. But if Alcaraz is thinking, okay, I'll get cartography and I'll get Dromans, and then I'll be ready to go, well, then he's going to lose. We're rushing out officers. Oh, my God. I mean, we're not even at the point, like, I normally say, oh, when you have, 30 training or whatever, it's fine. So it's not even at the point that this city has great training, but if you're spending the resources to rush stuff, at this stage in the game, just rush more bodies. Like, would you rather an Elder Officer or Ballista when, again, this isn't me having omniscient knowledge. Alcaraz can see this. Alcaraz needs to know. He has to be aware that he has, like, 10 or 15 turns, max. There's no possible way. So it's like, do you want an Elder Officer now, or do you just want another Ballista? Or, another boat, or anything, right? So it's like, this Elder Officer down here, like, we're wasting our rush economy on better training that just, man, it isn't gonna translate. Yes, and we have our Elder Scribes. I love it. We have Elder Scribes who thankfully will be around to write a history of the stunning defeat of Carthage. Yeah, man. Unfortunate. Unfortunate. Like at this point, I'd probably even upgrade every single worker into a conscript. Do we have conscript? We don't. Manor, come down though. Yeah, maybe advancing. There's not a lot in the way of bombardment defense from this island. In fact, this onager is not even sentinel. It has sentinel, but it's not in the borders, so it's a debuffed onager. So yeah, Alcaras could advance himself. He can't quite reach the city, but he could start peppering ships and stuff. Yeah. Unfortunately, all the possibilities Alcaraz has at this stage, it's basically just a matter of he doesn't have the time anymore. Because even that, right, that would take a turn. That's one turn of setup. Which, again, he has. He has the one turn. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's unfortunate. Yeah. And honestly, you know, again, full respect, I think it's a fitting demise for Alcaraz. Because we all have weaknesses, right? You know, one of my weaknesses is I'm way too chaotic. You know, I know everything about the game. I have fantastic strategies, but I'm very just single-minded, very just like, all I need to do is get 7 of these things and then I'll win. But then I get 7 of those things and my science sucks, or my economy sucks, or my opinion sucks, or whatever. You know, I don't have that holistic approach, which, you know, Alcaraz, as an opposite example, is really good at. Alcaraz is just phenomenal at running a clean, smooth empire. Doesn't really make mistakes on like his build up front. You know, and Ninjaa is another good example. Ninjaa is a phenomenal player. He's crushed the elimination bracket. He's great with his science. He's great at expanding. He's great at so many elements of the game. But, you know, maybe there's some improvement he can run on his economic side. Or, like we saw in the mid game, it's very easy for Ninjaa to lose focus. He's an explosive opening, but then you hit around turn 60 or 70, and I can't help but think that Ninjaa gets a little bit of a moment of kind of going, huh, well, the game's still going on. Now what, right? So we all have our weaknesses, just to be clear. And one of Alcaraz's biggest weaknesses is he takes too freaking long to do anything. He always finds himself in a situation of like, oh, but maybe if I just get this too, and then he gets that thing, and then he's like, oh, and how about this? You know, like, you know, so he gets elites, and he's like, or guilds rather, and he's like, well, now I'll elder officers. Oh, but now I need dromans, and it's like, no, dude, you need to come up with a plan, execute the plan, and then go. And we've seen him do that in some games in the past, and I personally have experienced that in some games where he gets a plan and he executes it, and everything goes great. But his big flaw is sometimes he big brains himself to death. And so, yeah, kind of a fitting demise in his situation as well, because, I mean, he's gonna run out of time. And so hopefully, if he is eliminated here, he'll take that lesson to heart and realize, you know, he basically has the opposite problem that I do. Alcaraz just needs to take more risks. I need to take less risks. Alcaraz needs to take more risks. And that's pretty much where it's at. He had an opportunity in the mid game. It could have been a risky play, but I mean, your choices are lose slowly or make a bold play, take that risk, surprise your opponent, get yourself into a winning position, and you know, maybe you have like a 40 or 50% chance to lose off of that risk. All right, cartography here. More dromans, more upgrades, more chopping sprees, more deficits. How much do we sell here? Do I have a... Oh, we might not have had to... Oh, yeah, we didn't have to, because we got gold. We have gold from the money boost, I suspect. Yep, money boost. Fantastic. That's funny. Yeah. Okay. All right. So yeah, lots of anchors, lots of presence in the region. I think what do we have in the back line coming? 4 turns away from the church points. More boats coming out. Do we have any rush potential yet on this? Nope, no rushing yet. But we're probably using civic rushing. We have massive civic stockpiles. So if we take a peek here, Droman completed. French's Doctor completed. Woodcutter completed. I have to imagine he's probably civic rushing a bunch of things, which is an excellent use of endgame civics. I think an underrated use of endgame civics. And also another synergy with the mass spammed vaulting calligraphy play is that, you know, who needs Ishtar Gate when you can just massively settle everything, and calligraphy will take you to rush potential in all your cities. We're just this is an 11-turn Droman, but in 2 turns we can rush it with civics. So that's going to be a 3-turn Droman. Thank you, calligraphy. Same thing down here. You know, 4 turns we can start rushing. He can rush everywhere. This city is 1 turn away from leveling up. Last session, this was generating 0 culture per turn. This one was back before it leveled up. It was something like 33 turns away from leveling, and now we can use it to rush Dromans. That's probably what he's doing. He's rushing out Dromans here. So, yeah, kudos to the full machine being operational on... Yeah, check this out. Yep, there we go. There's the rush Droman. Right at the front line, right at the moment, he's flooding... Yeah, this game's done. Alcaras lost his chance. I don't see it. Maybe salty, but that's just that's going to delay the inevitable. There's no way he gets to Hormizard. And even if he does, I still think it's just inevitable at this point. The calligraphy's too powerful. It's just going to keep ticking away. Like, even if he loses Sulci right now, Ninja would still win in 18 turns from this point. Or 17 turns from this point. Yeah. And in fairness, so we have a comment saying Alcaraz is preparing for a 120-turn game in a 105-turn game. And yes, 100% correct. However, that's one of the hardest things about Old World. It can lose you the game in the other direction. You know, in my game against Alcaraz, I played an 80-turn game. He played a 120-turn game, and I was in not even remotely any close of a position to ending that game in 80 turns, you know. So, I mean, I just outright surrendered. There was no point to even playing out the next 20 turns because Alcaraz's economy and his science, you know, he did everything right for, you know, a 100 to 120 turn game, whereas I didn't, right? You know, I was trying to focus on ending it early and then just didn't really do a general good job of that. So it's really difficult to know what type of game you're playing and to have the flexibility of knowing, you know, in Alcaraz's case here, when to take a risk and say, oh, you know what, I'm going to push out. Or in Ninja's case, knowing when to say, oh, I guess I'm going to be here a while, so maybe vaulting makes sense. You know, it's hard to make those pivots. Ninja didn't make that pivot for quite some time. It took him about 20 turns to pick up on vaulting. You know, and Alcaraz missed that early aggression window that probably would have benefited him. So it's incredibly difficult. I think few players, I think that's probably, we talk about weaknesses and strengths. I think that's probably one of the strengths for Fluffy Bunny that makes him such a strong and formidable opponent, is that his game sense always seems on point. He never seems to struggle with the question of, like, what point in the game am I? Well, like, what should I be doing next? Which is interesting because he also is the type of person who, like, never has a very specific plan. He doesn't go into a game with a plan. He just adapts. But I think that adaptation is key for a lot of this game. And in this situation, Ninja ended up adapting to his win condition. Unfortunately, before Alcaraz could pick up on his. And yeah, we're just seeing more Dromans. How many Dromans? Let's take a peek here. Ships. 19 water units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Dromans at the moment. Yep. 57 points out of 65. Let's take a look at some other stats to see what would be working. See, this is the other thing that's a bummer about Alcaraz's positioning, and this is why I think he did have that shot back on turn 60 or 70. His orders, he's up against Persia. Persia has like 70 or 80% of the map, and his orders have been neck and neck with Persia for the entire game. That's super impressive. That's super impressive. Same thing with Science. Ninja has half the map, 70% of the map, and they've been neck and neck in Science for the entire game, right? Let's look at military score. Very similar, not too far off, right? And around this time is the point where Alcaraz had Orthodoxy. Ninja still does not have Orthodoxy. So Alcaraz could have conjured a larger army in the span of 5 to 10 turns, spiked himself up to here-ish, right? Be run even with a larger navy. So this is why I feel very strong about the fact that Alcaraz really, truthfully, genuinely did have a window. This was not a case of someone gobbling up 70% of the map, boxing their player in, which, I mean, this is what happened. But then to the point where their opponent could do nothing about it. That's the part. That's the extra part to consider. It's not that Alcaraz had no opportunity to fix the situation. Unfortunately, he did. And to those of you, to Alcaraz, if you're watching, my apologies, friend, for belaboring the point for our viewers, and I hope it's not exhausting for me to reiterate it as well to our viewers. But I'm just the energy of this moment in the tournament is so extreme for me because it seems like such a sad way. It's an understandable, but also sad way for Alcaraz to go because it's like he played a phenomenal game. He got himself into a very strong position, and yet that core weakness in his play style that haunts him came out to haunt him. And I think that that ends up being the way we lose these games. I think that's the thing that probably kicked me out of my game as well. I was playing in such a way where some of my core weaknesses kind of kept creeping into my play style, and it caused me to just outright have like a bad game in my last game of the tournament. And it's not even, I just didn't even play that well in general, I don't think. So it's just interesting to see how we get defeated by our opponents who obviously play well in their own right, but also we succumb to our own weaknesses as well. It's like a combination of both things in terms of the ecosystem when we face off against each other. And hey, man, guess money doesn't really matter. Here we go. Yep. Ninja has been, and I spent a lot of last session chastising Ninja for the whole money doesn't matter philosophy. And he's making it work. He's going to end the game. But this does go back to what I was saying, not to belabor the point yet again, but this does go back to the reason why it's important to pressure your opponent, because I feel like if Alcaraz did attack when he had the window, the political situation would have gave Alcaraz the leverage, and then the economic, like there was like a 5 or 10 point period in the game where Ninja's economy was zeroed out. He was selling the majority of his resources every single turn. So I think those are the type of opportunities where there's risk in this playstyle. This playstyle works, but it risks. If you end up in a pitched battle against a competent opponent who can supply himself reinforcements, you can lose. Because as you lose units, you will not be able to replenish them. I really don't think we need to buff gold. I'm not going to get into it. You can watch the previous session if you want all my hot thoughts on the interface between gold and resources. But I really, really genuinely do not think the response to seeing this strategy play out is to buff gold. I think gold has value. I think this is a risky play. This is a very, very risky play. It's paid off for Ninja, but if Alcaraz had taken more of the map, or if Alcaraz had brushed out when he had a chance, or they came to blows earlier, Ninja would not have been able to sustain himself. In fact, if we think about it, This is the exact type of situation I got myself into in my game. My economy was not high, but it basically zeroed out my economy. And same thing against Aaron. I tried to end the game. And what did I do? I had that perspective of, hey, the economy at this point doesn't matter. I zeroed out my economy. But then what happened? My opponent was actually able to hold their ground and fight me. Or in Alcaras' case, I wasn't even in a position to attack anymore. So yeah, it's tricky. It's definitely a weird thing, but I think having money is better than not having money, because this is also an aspect of the fact that Alcaraz just hasn't taken a risk. Yeah, I can respect that. I can respect the fact that it takes an extra order to build. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't realize that the mine boost. Really, that fascinates me because I thought the hill bonus was plus to the mine. So shouldn't that be implying to the gold? That's weird. That's weird if true. If there's no interaction there between the mine and the gold itself. I've never picked up on that because I thought, wait, is that correct? Look at this. Hill. Oh, yes, okay. Sorry. It's not plus 50% to the mine, it's plus 50% to iron. Got it. Yeah, okay. I'm sure I knew that at some point. I'm sure I'm aware of that. I just slipped my mind. But yeah, I get what you're saying now. I see what you're saying. So it takes an extra order to build on the... I gotcha. Yeah, unlike something like pearls or groves or whatever, yeah, it doesn't. They all don't take the extra order. Yeah, okay, I dig it. I see what you're saying. 4 turns of infantry square. 59 points. About 6 turns away from winning. 5 or 6 turns away from winning. Yeah, having money is better than not having money. I think probably one of my commentating weaknesses is I belabor the point too much. I'll go off on 20 minutes and talk about the same thing. I'll just basically repeat it. Or like I'll just go back to the same point over and over again. And then, yeah, sometimes I just state the obvious. Like, you know, losing is bad. All right, no more forest left on the island. Very few forests left here. More Dromans zip into the front line. I love it. I love the Navy here. I mean, Ninja has to know he's winning this. We have more Cataphract Archers. We're filling every tile with Cataphract Archers. Honestly, you might even want to just do that. Because that's the other thing. It's such a melee-heavy composition. Even if you just lose units. Also, by the way, speaking to the fact, and I just want to be very clear, rebels are in a fine spot. They harass you well enough, but this is exactly what I'm talking about when I'm saying it doesn't matter if you just don't kill the rebels, because they've been wailing on this city all game, and it has not been contributing to discontent because that was changed like 6 months ago. And this is actually an example, you know, Fluffy, Solver, you guys were like trying to be like, well, when would it ever matter? Well, here's an example of matter, because Persia can literally use these 2 units. There was another one, there was a third one here a second ago, as shields. He doesn't need to clear these, and if anything, look, Alcaras needs to come up and clear this thing if he wants to actually get in on this city. And so there's no penalty for just leaving these rebels here, sitting here having a good time. And that was my argument back in the day as to why I didn't like the discontent being taken off of that. Having said that, the marauding, rampaging, pillaging rebels it's in a fine spot. So, I mean, whatever. It's not the end of the world anymore. But just food for thought. That's what I was talking about. You can ignore rebels if they're just hitting your city. It just doesn't matter. There's no reason to just take care of them. It doesn't do anything. when it comes to ending the game or winning the game. Alcaraz is, yes, he actually just established a network, so it looks like we have portcullis for the Alcaraz people. Hop on over there, see what we got going on. And we're on ballistics now, so we'll get mangonels. That'll be nice. That'll be nice. Unfortunately, we'll get mangonels. Yeah, dude, this is so sad. This is so sad. Even by the time that Alcaraz realizes, because now he's 6 turns away from losing. Even if Alcaraz says when Ninja's at like 63 points, he's like, oh shit, maybe I should move now. I don't think he's going to have an opportunity to take Sulci. I think he'll need at least 2 turns to take Sulci. At least 2 turns to take Sulci. And he has about 4 or 5 turns left. So, I mean... Wait a minute. Yeah, that's a bummer. He's thinking, oh, in 4 turns, I'll have mangonels that I can launch into. It won't matter, dude. The game's over in 4 turns. All right. Well, it would be a good time to think of questions that you want to ask our players, because I'm not always the best at the post-game interview. I think, again, we all have strengths and weaknesses to our casting styles. I actually think Filthy Robot's probably the best post-game interviewer. I think he does the best job of asking players questions and giving them the opportunity to talk. I really like when he does the post-game interviews. I'm not really that great at them. But I'll get basically how I've decided I'll start to do it is I'm gonna greet our players, and then I'll basically just have them talk. I think I like that. Let them talk it out, and then as I see some questions or think of questions myself or jokes or commentary, I'll chime in. But the last time I did a post-game chat, I basically I think with Alcaraz and whoever he just faced, Oro. Yeah, I think it went very well to just let them chat it out. Wow, lots of Dromans just flooding the ocean. I'm going to lose my effing mind. I am going to lose my absolute goddamn mind. Alcaraz, you are killing me. You see, this is it. You deserve to lose. I'm going to lose my mind. What the hell is happening? What the hell is happening? Oh my god. Oh my god. Where's my stupid soundtrack? Oh, man. Ugh. Dumb. Absolute dumb. I can't believe it, dude. And we're running... What are we doing? We have stockpiles. Why are we running council? He needs to walk me through this. He has to walk me through this. We have 3 cities on council. 1 building a freaking archive. 3 building an elder officer. A 4th city. He's just idling. This is it. He's idling. He's not doing anything. That's got to be it. But then why wouldn't you just surrender? Wouldn't the courtesy thing? Wouldn't the sportsman-like thing? Because Alcaraz is has a very, very great sense of sportsmanship, like 100%. So I don't think he would drag it on just for the sake of dragging it on, right? I think he would be like, oh, well, I'm screwed. So there's no way he would be doing, like, he has to think, oh, I have a little bit more time. Like, he has to, right? Like, yeah, he's moving onagers, putting them in position. Also, look at this, by the way. Dromans do not mess around. This does have amphibious, but look at this, 10. 2 amphibious Dromans can just delete these onagers out on the coast. Even on urbans, it doesn't matter. They'll eat regular units, too. Dromans are no joke. They do not mess around. This guy's in a fort. In a fort, fully fortified. This amphibious droman will do 7 damage to it. So 3 amphibious dromans could just kill this thing. Get yourself on a land. Dromans do not mess around. 3 turns on ballistics. So yeah, it basically... I mean, I think Alcaras at this point can't even move. Because he needs some portion of this military to be able to attack Sulci. While also ensuring that nothing just walks up into, like, Kirkwane and takes it. He has no walls. This is a trouble. Ironically, I played a game recently and I never got Polis. And it was one of the few games where, man, I would have killed to have a wall and a moat in each of my cities because I just needed to buy myself a couple of turns, and that could have done it. But yeah, so Alcaras is in a similar situation. He can build walls, but he does not have walls. Man, makes sense. Don't necessarily need them. However, if he's trying to move his army down here into Sulci and take this, he has anchor ranges all over his territory. So, a little bit unfortunate here. Also, anybody let me know if you hear any tapping, because I had some tapping, kind of like this. That was just an example, but I had that happening a lot in yesterday's stream, and I felt bad about it. I didn't notice it. I think it was because of my mic being on my desk and picking up keyboard and mouse taps. So I've repositioned it a little bit further away from where my hands are, and if it's hasn't been happening, I would love to know. He swapped to elite. Alcaras has swapped to elites. Fantastic. I love the teamwork of these casts, by the way, because we have a couple of people in the chat room, and they're observing too, so they can check out these little idiosyncrasies that I'm not picking up on. And we have popped to elites. We have still spent a bunch of orders, so we're going to need at least, if we're going for peak alpha, if we're actually going to use it, kick us off with a turn, we'll need 1 turn of elites. Alcaras is taking a peek in the ocean here, setting up another agent network. You can see the dromans coming online. And again, this is another... Let's go around the build queues here. Get a sense of... We've previously rushed 3 times in this city. 1 time in this city. How about... We'll probably rush out of here soon. We rushed 1 here. 1 here. 2 times here. 1 time here. 1 time here. I wish I was counting the totals. One time. Yeah, so that's probably something like, I don't know, 15, 20 civic rushes out of the Persian Empire. Very, very useful. Very excellent use of civics. Especially at the end game, because again, your stockpiles don't matter at the end game. I definitely don't think it's bad to have stockpiles throughout the game. I'm not fully on board with the Soren perspective of all stockpiles equaling waste. I'm not 100% on board with that, but definitely there comes a time where, yeah, you just, if you have it, just use it. And rushing in particular is one of those situations, both for your resource stockpiles and also the thing that you're using to rush in general. Just slam that rush button and bring units or whatever else into the game. It really, really, really speeds up your efficiency. For those of you who, if you happen to be watching, who are a bit newer to the game, or even in single player moves on a slower time frame than multiplayer, by the way. We play in competitive mode, and I'm not going to go into the details as to why, but that actually does speed up the tempo of the game a little bit. You know, a small to moderate amount of the game is sped up on competitive mode in terms of timing, science progression, things like that. But yeah, if you're new to the game and you think that most of the time you've been ending games on turn 140 or 150. Things like learning when to rush. We have lots of pikemen coming out now, by the way, so that shuts down the elephants. And GG, really. Shuts down the elephants, shuts down routing. Even this ballista. Let's take a peek now. Ballistas only do 7 damage. 2 pikes. I love that. I think they used to do 9 or 10. There's a pike out in the open. No defense, no promotions against the ballista. No defense, no promotions. Although maybe they're unhappy. I don't remember. Yeah, they're a little upset. But still, yeah. Still a little less damage to the pike. And it looks like... Let's do a double check here. Gonna hop on over to Persia. It's Persia's turn now. We're gonna count it out. We have 2 here. 3. Whoop. 3 from this one. 4 from this one. 5 from our legendary city. Yep, 5 points coming on next turn. And then the final victory point, the game-winning point, rather, will be another 4 points away after that. So Alcaras has 4 turns. Yeah, I think, Rincewind, I think you're absolutely right. And this is one of the things that I was talking about being critical about Ninja's gold approach, right? Alcaraz has a very strong economy all game long. Ninja has been in a massive gold deficit all game long. So with turn 97, right? One thing that Alcaraz can infer in this game, right? Without even knowing Ninja as a player, but if you know Ninja as a player, you could lean into this inference as well. That there's 3.1. The buy price for food is 3.1. The buy price for metal is 2.5. You know, it's turn 90, and we have buy prices as low as 6.5, 5.8 on stone and wood, right? This should tell any player in Alcaraz's position that their opponent has been buying resources all game long. These are incredibly, incredibly low prices. And if I'm Alcaraz, I have, 150 stone iron coming in per turn. I have 885 gold coming per turn, right? So I know I'm not the person who's buying a shitload of iron. I haven't been doing it. I'm not buying any stone. I don't need stone. So I agree. Yes, you can definitely look at the economy and yeah, Alcaraz will probably surrender. We will very, and unfortunately, Solver, we're gonna get an anticlimax because even if Alcaraz attempts to take Sulci, I don't think he'll do it in 4 turns. So it's going to be a couple of turns of them whacking away at each other until the final point trickles in. In fact, even Sulci itself is 15 turns away from getting us another point. That is the power of calligraphy, my friends. Let this be the game that shapes the meta. Again, it's not something you beeline. It's hard to leverage. You don't go straight for it. But once you're in a strong position, if you've rexed, if you've secured a lot of the map, if you have good defense, man, is calligraphy a way to speed up the game and put your opponent on your terms, on your time frame. Force them to move against you, whether they're ready or not, because you can force the game to end. The VP threshold is high. The VP threshold's high. Ninja has it. He's doing it legitimately. No behind the throne, no opulence points, just a couple of wonders. Mass wrecks across the map. He's got 21 cities, 22 cities, and calligraphy. This is the might of that law. I mean, not to suggest, by the way, I don't want to suggest it needs a nerf, by the way. However, as soon as I complained about calligraphy for years, because it used to require libraries and stuff. It was just a chore to actually ever get any use. Iconography was infinitely better, but so then Soren goes and does this, and I have to say, I immediately clocked the absolute shit show of a powerhouse that this law was going to become. Doesn't necessarily need it means doesn't necessarily mean it needs to be nerfed. But yeah, it really, really, really is strong in the right circumstance, and Ninja found himself in the absolute right circumstance to leverage it. Which, you know, good for him. Like I had said last session and in this session, it took Ninja a little bit to kind of pick up on it, which is one of the things that I actually like about this game in terms of kind of being a lesson for players to learn new strategies and new tactics and, you know, the capabilities of different laws in the text tree is it can be easy to forget about. Ninja could have it without calligraphy, right? Ninja would be in this current position that he's in now, and he would be missing like 20 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 at least. But probably another 15 to 20 points he would not have if he did not adopt calligraphy on turn 85. So yeah, I mean, that's an important thing to keep in mind, depending on how your game goes, what the game state looks like. And I like that, too. One thing I like about it, and why I'm not 100% sure it does need to be nerfed, is because vaulting is a plateau, right? It's not something you necessarily beeline straight for as a game-defining thing, but it's something you pivot into to support your position, to support your strength. And that's something I think it makes it cool. Similar to Doctrine. Doctrine is a dead end, right? But Orthodoxy is arguably one of the most powerful laws in the game. So it's not necessarily something you beeline because you won't have the orders right away, but you pivot into it after you're set up. And I kind of like that. And they both happen to be religious oriented, so if you're doing a religion play, they can combo nicely, the two things. Calligraphy and Doctrine. And, of course, Clerics. We have a doomed ruler. Who's on the throne? Who's the heir? We have a commander. I mean, now's the perfect time for a commander, because he's either going to surrender next turn or he's absolutely going to attack. With these agent networks, Alcaras can now see how close... He can see this. He can see it's 4 turns away from leveling up. So Alcaras has even more information in terms of game clock, game timer. But I mean, he has everything he needs to know right here. Come on. Oh boy, Alcaras. 2 weak cities. Yep. Where's the other one? Oh, it's right there. Yeah, it's coming on next turn. 7 orders left, getting some elephants in position, I can't speak today, sorry guys. Promoting, decreeing, turret elephant, there we go, now we're seeing some units, more councils. I don't understand what the hell that is about, Alcaras. You have resources. Every single one of these should be building a unit, even if you can't rush it. Like, this is the thing, this is what I'm saying, the amount of Alcaras, imagine if he would just ortho-rushed a unit from every single city for the last 5 or 6 turns. Well, not the last 5 or 6, but like 20 turns ago, right? And then attacked. Or, again, I hate to say it, he could have done that with the Navy, man. This situation should have never happened in Persia. Alcaras could have stolen the sea straight from Ninja's hand, and I don't think Ninja would have ever regained it. He didn't have the economy. He didn't have the rush potential. Alcaras could have pivoted to cartography himself, turned them all into... Yep, Aaron, you called it. Surrender. There it is. We pivot over. We have the 64 out of 5. And we conclude. The slow Carthaginian drift to sleep. There it is. Our fearless leader is now a loser just like the rest of us. Very, very well played. So, before I bring them onto the call, I just want to do one last wrap up here. Alcaraz played a phenomenal game. His science is incredible. His economy is incredible. Everything is fine. His empire, generally speaking, he had the 9-city empire to a 22-city empire. And I still think Alcaraz's empire overall is better than his opponent's. The mistake Alcaraz made was he didn't clock when he had an opportunity to actually break out of his situation. So let's get our boys in the chat for a post-game recap. I also got to set myself up with my headphones and my little captions thing so I can read what the hell they're saying. Let me get headphones on and hop onto the Hagen Gardens. Okay. Oh. Yeah, so again, before he hops in, I can't stress enough that Alcaraz played a good game, and really, this could have been the poster child type of game for a tall versus wide play. Alcaraz, welcome!
Welcome, yeah, hello. Sorry I dragged it out there, but I wasn't sure if I could, and the calligraphy is really strong.
Can you guys hear him?
Can you hear me? I can hear you, or could hear you. I'm not sure what's the deal now.
Chat, let me know if you can hear him, because I cannot hear him.
I can, hello, this is Alcaraz speaking. Can you hear me?
All right, go ahead.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
All right, yeah, all right, never mind. I had you guys muted.
Congratulations, Ninja. Well fought and well deserved.
Thank you so much, Alcaraz. And I'm just looking at your army here. I really do think 10 more turns, let's say the VP threshold was a bit higher, I think you could have smacked me pretty hard.
Yeah, I just got mangonels this turn and was about to upgrade about 20 onagers into mangonels, but with 2 turns left, it wouldn't have mattered. So, or 3 turns left, I would not have been able to take a city in 3 turns. So, yeah. And you may actually, your clock may actually be faster. I just have 1 city that I could see vision on your weak city. I don't know what other city is even closer, if there's another one that's closer. So, or if the clock was really 3 turns. So it looks like it was really 3 turns, but I'm very confident I could not take a city in 3 turns because I would upgrade this turn. Next turn, I would move it on a limper, and then that would give me 1 turn to take a city, and you would just attack with everything, and there's no way I could break a city with everything. Yeah, so really, really well played. Great tech as well. You were ahead in tech for a long time, and I think I presume you went hydraulics early?
Yes, as always.
Yeah, it's really strong. I went hydraulics pretty late relatively, and I think that was a mistake. I went up the top of the tree, and that was not the right call.
Yeah, just so strong. Even though I saw the groves and land consolidation, I really thought the hydraulics would be the move, and I don't know if it really deserves another nerf or not.
Yeah, I mean, there was a great city with 4 honey that I was really excited about using.
Yeah, that's funny because it really was right around the time that Alcaraz got land consolidation relatively early, certainly compared to Ninja. He takes Salty and he's like, I think you were actually building a grove.
I had started one, I canceled it because I'm like, I'm not giving him a fucking grove.
He literally, exactly, he just was building a grove, and then Ninja comes in and takes your shit.
Yeah, no, I mean, it really well played. I mean, huge, hats off to you. Incredible pace of expansion, keeping pace with Carthage. In fact, going ahead of Carthage later. I definitely stood out in mid-game there. Yeah, I mean, if I analyze my own play, the big things that jump out are scouting. I saw you prioritized exploration as an early law, and I was like, exploration, that's a weird first law. But then realized, oh God, schemer scouts on water make it really easy to see what the inland sea looks like. And that's incredibly important. And then I lost track of your army early on because I think they went off to clear the islands in the northeast. Because I had a scout hidden around Zadraka and Raga, and I was like, "Where'd his army go?" And I was very confused. You must have gotten early Byreme or something. I'm not sure. Or crossed into Darband with borders, and then So yeah, no. Had I scouted better and gotten better vision and like taken Gabay and Solchi, I think. And then, of course, Ectabana, that would be a slightly different game. It would have been a little more... Yeah, you basically were at my doorstep at the exact right time. Turn 60 is kind of my weak spot. That's when I'm I really want to be left alone for 10 more turns on turn 60 and do not want to be bothered. And you came and bothered me. So very well done. Hats off again. And congratulations. And yeah, good luck in the rest. Looking forward to the elimination bracket final. That should be a really great match between you and Aaron.
Yeah, thank you. But that's actually why I got to thank you for choosing Inland Sea. I think you know that on a tiny ultra-wide coastal rain basin, that is basically my weakest map. So the fact that I was able to take advantage of the sea for the fast expansion, I'm not able to do that on the other map. And if you played the exact same game on the other map, you would have definitely won late game. So really, thank you for choosing the Inland Sea.
I mean, look, CRB, I just do not like CRB ultra wide tiny. I just think it's really boring as a map. I just don't want to do that to myself or to anyone else. This map is honestly a little too big for my taste. I went back and forth on tiny versus dual Inland Sea, and dual was just a tiny bit too small. It was like 15 or 16 sites, and I was like, that can get really ugly if there's a land sea, if there's like a straight shot like this northern coast, which actually I didn't see until now, because I didn't scout, because that freaking mountain in the north blocked my scout, which really hurt, and I didn't get exploration until late, and didn't put a bireams. Yeah, and wow, did you just clear chop the forests in the north, I presume?
Yes, I mean, my entire economy is completely destroyed. I need the wood. So that's why I was saying like 10 more turns.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. I was like, I'll rush out at 3 Dromons every turn, upgrade all my things. Mangonels will take the peninsula and bombard you. But yeah, I just didn't. I mean, I needed 10 turns and I didn't have it.
Alcaras, take a look at the money production tab for a moment there. And
I know.
You're going to see the difference in the economy.
60k gold. No. This is definitely tall versus wide. It's just calligraphy is really good. Without calligraphy, I don't think you have the accelerant to get all those points very quickly.
Oh, definitely no, yeah. And I was thinking maybe I should have gone for it even earlier, because I didn't realize until late that this would be probably a point victory. I was still thinking naively that I could actually break through your forces.
I was really surprised you didn't break in the initial attack. My read was like, I'm fucked, you're going to break in. And then you pulled back. And I was like, ooh, now I can build forts. I didn't have onagers when you attacked, and you had onagers. So I was like, I am in deep trouble. I was surprised you didn't go in, but of course going in is highly risky. You had the vast majority of the map. There's no reason for you to go in. So you made the right call. I was very scared at that point. And then I was like, okay. I just kept getting draws, or I kept picking techs. I need to rewatch and see what the hell I was doing with my tech choices. Cause I went far more the upper tree than I intended to go. And I wanted hydraulics early, and I got it turn 83, which is not early. Or something like that. I don't know when it was. So
you got the 7 laws, I think, pretty fast, right?
Turn 80 on hydraulics. I did get 7 laws very early, but then you didn't have 7 laws too far behind. Holy shit, so many cataphract archers as well. How many do you have? Like 10, 12? I was watching you take Hormuzad and kill the Vandals and being like, I miss playing Persia, and I really miss. And I was like, thank God these things don't have 2 range, but I really miss them having them at 2 range, because they would be terrifying.
I brought them all the way back to my military
capital to upgrade. Oh my God.
It's actually on autonomous rule right now, so I wouldn't have been able to make any more. That's why I was very happy if I was able to end the game in a couple turns, because literally everything is collapsing.
No, but I mean, that's all you need, right? I'm sure Sion yelled at me when I started a temple in Kirkray 2 turns ago, because it was like, oh, it's another order.
I was yelling a lot.
You were yelling about, what the hell are you doing? You need to go kill him. I'm sure. You were absolutely right. I think I just did not have a good instinct for how fast calligraphy speed things up. And I think when I saw you go to 8 laws and one of them was calligraphy, or not, calligraphy was your 9th law, I forget. I was like, I am in trouble, because calligraphy puts me on the clock. And then I thought this game was going to go to like 110 or 120. I was like, start of last session, I was like, I've got like a third, like immediately start of the second session, I think I was like, last session I was 30%, start of this, or 30% chance of victory. I was like, he's got the majority of the map, I'm screwed. This session I was like, if I just science up, I'm going to be good. And then I saw calligraphy and I was like, I am in trouble. I have the economy to dream of. I can print all the units I want. I just do not have time.
Calligraphy is definitely, when we think about things in terms of the game meta, hydraulics is a big conversation point. Guild rushing is also kind of getting a little bit of the limelight in terms of conversation lately. Manor and land consolidation. Calligraphy is not often shown the spotlight. And I think I agree even with Ninja. Like, I think Ninja, it took him probably an extra 10 to 15 turns or more to realize, oh, hey, you know what? I should probably just do that. And so that's what I think found interesting about this game, is that you both kind of had different opportunities. I think Alcaras, you had an opportunity to break out far sooner, far earlier in the game, before, like, kind of like around the time frame of Ninja trying to almost arriving at the calligraphy play. In fact, for Ninja, we have a couple questions for you with chat. One of them was, with your judge, you kept holding court instead of trying to improve relations. And I also made note of this too, because you did get metaphysics, obviously, because you have dromens and stuff in the ocean. And at no point throughout the game did you seem to make any effort converting the statesman family to Zorro, or trying to resolve your family opinion and deal with the rebel situation you were working with. So talk us through that. Are you really just, full speed ahead? Who cares about gold? Who cares about opinion? I'm just going to do whatever I can and hope I win?
Well, the gold, I think I might have messed up on. I probably should have, got something that doesn't give me a 1,500 deficit. But for the influence and the other missions, I mean, this might be what holds me back from, let's say, winning the tournament. But I really do think those role-playing missions are not worth it compared to rally troops or hold court. Now, the intercession missions, because those are done by separate characters, right? They don't block the leader mission. I think those are worth it, but
Right.
not the influence one.
All right, that's definitely an interesting perspective. That's an interesting perspective. Yeah, because I also made note of that too, because you hadn't converted, and then I went, by the time you have your patriarch now, who's Zorro, he actually likes you because he's also a zealot. I was like, okay, maybe he'll start converting now with that guy, and didn't look like you got around to it, which is fine, because at this stage of the game it didn't matter. You were just rushing out dromens with civics, so that's, I probably agree, the better use of your civics. But it was kind of funny because there was kind of like a narrative throughout the length of the game. Like, you, by the way, I have to say, and I've said this already to people watching, there's a couple of games in the tournament where I think you can watch a player and their first 40, 50, 60 turns, and it's just like, it's a primer on how to play this game perfectly. And Ninja, I think this is one of those games for you. You had such a flawless expansion. In fact, one question that I know Filthy probably had for you, because he cast your first session, was maybe he wanted to hear about, you were put off statesmen quite a lot. Like, you founded their seat, but as you were settling around the map, you seemed to heavily prioritize hunters and riders first. And what's your thinking behind that? I have a theory, but I'm curious about your thinking of if it was intentional why you were settling more riders families than statesmen at first.
I think the statesmen, I wanted them to be my back cities because I wanted all my cities along the coast to have the military bonus so I could crank out the navy late game. I think that's why I might have won it. But I think probably some room for improvement and redistributing the families a bit, because my statesmen are very angry. And I think that's probably a bit due to the family settling order, right?
I actually liked it. I liked it. I liked the riders first because one thing I had made note when I was in the chat, so this was my assumption, with that it was intentional. And we weren't sure if it was intentional or not in terms of the distribution, because you were Persia, you had a sizable order economy. So it was kind of like this question of like, well, bringing in more statesmen cities early doesn't really benefit you because you don't have the worker or unit economy to support it. So I was under the assumption that you're bringing riders to speed up your worker queue in, or your settlers with that extra growth. But either way, I think you did a phenomenal job expanding. Soren noted the fact that you cleared most of the map with only about 3 or 4 units, which was impressive.
Wow.
It was so impressive in and of itself. He did get a couple of lucky events because, of course, when you clear tribal camps, you get
warriors,
the warriors, whatever. So I believe 1 or 2 of the warriors were from that. But even so, he didn't have to build any units, and he cleared most of the map. So that was cool.
That's impressive.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to watching the cast, and yeah, I definitely stalled out early because I think the trader nerf is well deserved. But I really felt the lack of the courtier at the beginning, and also it was an all pasture start, so I had no resources for food, and I think just all the Carthage nerfs kind of added up with like no courtier, just 100 civics instead of 200, taking money to upgrade tribals as well instead of just training. I mean, they were all deserved and good. I think it's in a better balanced spot. But this is my first game after the traders nerf. I didn't have time to do a practice game, and man, my openings were rough at the beginning there. I think I had like 6 city sites cleared and just did not have money for food or any settlers.
How quickly into the match do you feel like you started feeling the fact that your wings were clipped a little bit as Carthage?
Right away, pretty much, because like I had to pay attention to like I started building farms on like turn 10 or something. Usually I would ignore economy until turn 20.
Wow, that's awesome. I think that's great. That's awesome.
It's good. No, it's good. But that's on me for not playing a practice match.
Yeah.
Even just to see how does this feel, because on test, like it was there on test for weeks. So I just But,
we definitely noticed. We definitely noticed while watching and in chat or whatever. There was a comment on the fact that like.
But yeah, I mean that not to take anything away from what I mean. Ninja won this game. So.
Oh no! Yeah, no. I'm just saying
right.
We could tell that the muscle memory. It's like you were playing pre-nerf Carthage and then realized it's like, oh, rather than buying a couple of extra tribal units, he probably should have bought like another 100 food for a settler type of thing. And so yeah, no, it's interesting to see, and I think it's probably going to end up being in a good spot, which is nice. There was another question for you, Alcaras, and I share this question: is how in your tracking of the game, because you look at tooltips and stuff, and all the cheeky ways to like kind of track your opponent's progress. How aware of Ninja's political situation were you?
I was hovering over his families and being like, what the hell is going on? Plus, I could see the rebels everywhere. So I was like, I think at one point, Ninja, you remarked that the rebels were defending Solchi, and a couple of them even came over to fucking throw rocks at me.
Yeah.
That was true. I wanted to go snipe Solchi, but there were like the rebels were better than your units at some point. Like you had slingers and there were some fucking macemen there. I'm like, this sucks.
Yeah,
That's
so that was one of the questions. The
thankful
question was if you ever got the idea to try and leverage his political situation, which also went in tandem, as he talked about, with a crappy economic situation where I think there was a solid... it's interesting because you both had a weird, interesting kind of like moment of the game going in either direction. Ninja, right around turn like 60, it took him about 20 turns or so to figure out the calligraphy play. And then Alcaras, same for you. That's when Ninja's economy started tanking and his political situation started tanking. So that was also like a 20-turn window for you to kind of like maybe make a play to burst out. So it was very interesting to kind of watch that and kind of see who kind of figured out their win condition first, and it just happened to be Ninja, because I really do think there was an opportunity, despite Ninja's explosive growth and having something like 18 or 20 cities to Alcaras's only 9. I think Alcaras's empire was overall more efficient, and you could have
more improvements somehow, which is like wild.
Oh yeah,
281 to 205, which is like what?
There was the point where things were just running so great for you, and it was kind of like becoming that question of like, all right, well, is Alcaras going to decide to make a move? And obviously, once the triremes and dromons hit the water, it became basically impossible to do that.
Yeah. I was like, I need dromons, I need mangonels, I need pikes, and then you beat me to dromons and pikes.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, shit.
And that's another thing. That's the other thing I find
was definitely a
impressive,
mistake, I think, in terms of time. Go ahead.
All right, that's another thing I find impressive too. So kudos to you, Ninja, because obviously you're really strong with your science game in general, but there kind of tends to be this theory that's like rapid expansion, building nothing but settlers and shit like that. You're ultimately going to fall behind in science with someone who's doing the heavy turtle greed play. And honestly, both of you guys, this is what I think is so impressive from both players, is that your empire science rate is neck and neck. And even Alcaras, your orders rate is neck and neck with Persia for the entire game as well. And he has an empire twice the size of you. So I really love this game in terms of a contrast of tall versus wide, because both of you had opportunities where I really do think that the game could have gone in either direction. Even back when Ninja had like 17 cities to your 9. So I think this is a very interesting, like kind of like theory craft situation of a tall versus wide play style between the two players who excel at both play styles, I think.
Yeah, I think I was definitely a little too passive. I should have poked Solchi. Ninja apparently had a lot on his hands. I just did not have good vision. That was another failing. I got portcullis very, very late. I'm not sure Ninja even ever got portcullis though. I didn't see any. No. Man, you would have made bank off of Carthago. That is 195 base science in that city. Base
I
science.
think of that, yeah. It just,
Also,
it's
aesthetic.
capital. It looks so
Aesthetic
clean.
is the fucking worst trait to have on a leader. You cannot assign a 12 science leader as a governor. Oh my god.
That's damn. I didn't realize.
Yeah, I rolled aesthetic. I was like, I might get blessed or inspiring, and I was like, aesthetic, that can't be that bad. And I was like, maybe I'll get like I feel like I'm behind, so I need to roll the dice. Nope, never take that. Aesthetic, not being able to be a governor as a judge leader with 12 science was just brutal. That would have scaled my science so much harder early. So that was a huge misplay on my part. But yeah. I should have poked earlier. Vision wasn't great. I think I was a little scared after your attack. You did a good job there with that attack. Go ahead.
Sorry. Ninja, one last question for you, because I just want to hear. I know you talked about how maybe you could have gotten calligraphy early. I wanted to know if you remember how it is you arrived at being like, oh, hey, calligraphy. Because it seemed like even when you got calligraphy, you had Latin Sail and something else, I think, was targeted. You weren't not even targeting calligraphy in terms of your plan at that moment. And I remember at the time, I was like, oh, he needs to get calligraphy. It makes calligraphy. And then I didn't even notice. Somebody in chat was like, oh, he's researching vaulting now. And I was like, oh, he is? So at what point did you finally realize that you could really set Alcaras on a timer by running to vaulting?
Once I looked at the south and I did the math and I realized if I actually set all these sites and then everything's cranking to developing and then I build the holy site, that I could actually win by points. Because before then, and this is always my default mindset, I was just trying to break through Alcaraz, massive units. So that's why I was going down the 7-law path as well as the Navy. I didn't even think about the points at that time until just so much amassed that I realized I'm not going to be able to go through.
Yeah, it would have been a tough nut to crack for sure, especially because I think economically, if your situation remained the way it was with that tactic, the other thing that was so interesting about the two sides of this game, it's like, I feel like even if Alcaraz was able to aggress early, because of his economy, even if Ninja was like killing 10 units a turn,
even,
yeah, 10 units a turn, while Alcaraz was only killing like 6 in a return, Ninja would have just run out of units and not been able to replace them. And so, but yet Alcaraz would have been replacing units every single turn. So it's one of those things where I think, unfortunately, like maybe at some point just Alcaraz needed to take a big risk. And
I think I should have just pushed onto Solchi, put the onagers in a really aggressive spot. There's like 4 tiles there, brought a couple of elephants and said hello, but there are these rebels in the way.
Yeah, those are great. I think they honestly...
Good job with the strategic rebels. Well played. Excellent tactical choice there. So.
Because if the rebels are gone, I think, the river there, I can't exert any ZOC on the tiles around the city. So your rally elephant can go around the entire thing.
Yeah.
Yep. That was the idea. And I would have had my plan was like push forward there. You see the border by there. And like I started fording towards it and I was like, oh, rebels. And you never solved your rebel problem. They kept spawning. So like, it was really frustrating.
Yeah.
But the other thing is they actually help a lot with the cognomen, the title.
Yeah, you get a lot of kills.
Yeah. I think I got lion from that.
You have 142 units killed.
And you guys basically barely ever fought.
126. I killed 42. So even like if you cleared like extra half of the map, that's another 40 or so. That's like 40 rebels that you killed.
Somebody raised a very interesting point though for Ninja, since you were basically just tanking rebels all game. And when the whole culture pivot push, epics switching to epics at some point could have been worthwhile and maybe sped up the timer a little bit more too, because I think every city killed at least 2 rebels, which I guess isn't a lot. It's only 20 culture per city, but still, I don't know. It was a comment someone made on the last video on YouTube, and I myself was like, oh yeah, that's interesting. He could have just farmed rebels for culture.
I guess they could have done that, but the thing I like about exploration is the leader gets that +1 wisdom every time he sends someone exploring.
Yeah.
And that helps the entire game. So
yeah, it's a really strong one for exploring events. I agree. It's definitely hop out of exploration for sure.
Mhm.
All right. Any final thoughts, my friends? Because I think we are about ready to wrap it up. We have 25 people chat, but it doesn't look like anybody's asking questions. So yeah, good job to both of our players. Alcaras, phenomenal job in the tournament. Thank you so much for organizing it, and it's going to be great to have you as a commentary moving forward, because now you will not be playing in any other games. You played very well this game. I definitely think there was an opportunity where it could have gone in your favor. And Ninja, you have played amazingly. You're my favorite to win the whole damn thing, and it's just been a blast to watch you churn through the entire elimination bracket. So good luck against Aaron, and I'll let you guys have some final thoughts.
Congratulations, man, and good luck. Really looking forward to the next match.
All right, thank you, Alcaraz. And yeah, I've been hearing that it's going to be another tournament, maybe in a year or so. So I'm hoping we get
Sooner than that. We're trying to do one much sooner than a year.
Yeah.
Sometime in 2026. But let's let this one finish. We got 2 to 3 more matches to go.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. All right. Sounds good.
Yeah, we're gonna just keep you playing. We're gonna make sure you keep playing Old World forever, Ninja, because you're just too entertaining to watch.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right, take it easy, guys. I'm gonna close out the stream here. Everybody, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the match. Definitely a kind of slow grind towards the end there, but I mean, such is life in Old World. Some games come down to this. I think Ninja did the correct play. He rapidly expanded. He identified the calligraphy play. He got himself into a strong defensive position. And I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. No reason to risk your position against an opponent. The onus was on Alcaras to take an opportunity, to take an advantage, and bust out of the situation against the dwindling economy of Persia, the dwindling political situation in Persia. But unfortunately, Alcaraz just never found himself quite prepared enough to strike or take that risk. Again, thank you so much. There's 27 of you in the chat right now. Amazing. Thank you for being here with us live. If you're watching after the fact on YouTube, always a pleasure to have you here as well. Please give us a like, subscribe, and hop onto the Old World Discord to join the conversation. All the people who like to talk about the game, or form strategies, or talk about the tournament, are all hanging out on the Old World Discord channel. So thanks again for tuning in. I'm Scientific, and this has been the Old World Community Tournament.